Hey guys, what's happening? So I went out to see Justice League last night, and I went ahead and did this in spite of the Rotten Tomatoes reviews, which is like 40% right now. And I never really pay that much mind because as soon as a film does better in revenue, miraculously that number starts to come up. So yeah, I really pay no attention to that number because first, I got a mind of my own, and if I'm gonna see something, I'm just gonna see it. And for any of you out there who have not seen it, I thoroughly recommend that you do the same. And if you're wondering, did I enjoy this movie? Absolutely. Would I say that it was perfect? No. But this movie had me walking out the theater feeling a certain way that you just don't feel after every movie. Because after this movie finished and stayed after and watched the 2 post-credit scenes, but after getting up and walking out of the theater, I had this feeling like I will be going back to see this in theaters. And for you guys that's been rocking with me for a minute and watching my movie talk playlist and all that, you know good and well that I've never said this about any movie before. And it's not often that I feel this way about a film. I really can't remember the last movie I saw that I said, hey, I gotta see that in theaters again. Like I literally can't wait for the digital copy. And just to give you some perspective, this is from someone who wasn't crazy about Batman vs Superman. I felt like it was nice seeing them together in that film. The visuals are incredible, but the story just didn't do it for me. And just so you guys know, the first part of this video is spoiler free, but the latter half, I'm really gonna go in and I gotta say some stuff in there. But yeah, it just kind of got me when I woke up this morning and I went on Twitter and like people just throwing hate left and right. And half of them probably ain't even seen the movie yet. It just really feels like people want to hate because they want to stand out and be different. So in order to be different and crave this attention, they'll become this lie that they don't even believe themselves. And that is just the weirdest thing to me. And if I had to break down what I like and what I didn't like about the movie, once again, keeping it spoiler free for right now, but if I had to give you like a list of pros and cons, what I liked and what I didn't like, the cons would be like 3 things. Just a handful, because the pros in this film, they outweigh it, they overtake it by far. And even with that being said, I understand that there's some people that for them, it just really wasn't their cup of tea. I don't see how that's possible, but statistically, everybody's not gonna like the same thing. It's just math. There's those people out there who are just not gonna like it. I get it. And this isn't for that person. I'm more so talking about the people who automatically hate everything and go into a film picking it apart at the first go round instead of just watching it. Like that really just throws me for a loop. Like I don't understand it. But yeah, that's all I really got to say without spoilers. It's a great film, a great adaptation to the comics. If it was whack, I would have just tweeted it and not even made this video, trust me. But getting into the spoiler talk, I feel like it's only fair that I also mention what I didn't like about the film. And not even to say so much what I didn't like about it, but some things just stood out and had you like, what is going on? So just so you know, from here forward, it's gonna be spoilers. So if you want to go see the movie before you finish this video, just hit watch later, that's cool. Alright, so let's get into it. First off, Superman. Now, when Superman came back from the grave and that chin was like looking like American Dad or something like that, I was just like, oh yeah, he did have that mustache. They probably had to CG that out or something. Because we all know with films, they have reshoots, and Henry Cavill had to come back in even though he was working on another film. But that scene in particular just made it real weird for me. Like, it was noticeable. Like, I don't think anybody did not notice that. And it's crazy because everybody's talking about Mustache Gate, and I gotta give props over to Charlie on Emergency Awesome because he made the best statement. He was on Twitter like, how hard would it have been for them to shave his mustache and then have the people from the other film just use a little bit of practical effects to make him, you know, to put the mustache back on. And I'm paraphrasing how he said it or whatever, but I just thought that was the best, like, hey, what are you doing kind of statement that I've ever seen. But really though, I think that was it. Like aside from Mustache Gate, I was kind of like really, but it didn't take me too much out of the film. And as far as Zack Snyder directing the film, and we all know that Joss Whedon came in on the back end with the reshoots because of the family emergency, but still at the end of the day, this is Zack Snyder's film. And to me, for the longest, Zack Snyder has been my favorite visual producer, but not as much director. But I felt like that changed after watching this film. And people can make their argument that, oh, that was all Joss Whedon. But Joss Whedon didn't remake the movie. He just added on to something that was already established. Films do reshoots all the time. I'm sure he added some ideas. It made some scenes longer than what they originally were going to be. But even with that, he had to fit that within a vision that was already established. And you can kind of tell with certain parts like what had Joss Whedon's touch on it as well. And with him also being a director and a producer, there's certain angles that he likes, certain banter that he likes. And I feel like that just added to what already was going to be a great film. And as far as the characters, the plot, the storyline, a lot of the time people ask me how close was this to the comics. And I feel like the best way to answer that is individually, like each of the characters, they're very true to their origins in the comics, some of them in a rebirth way, some in a New 52 way. And I know I mentioned before how I really wanted Wonder Woman to go more in a New 52 route with her actually being able to fly, which it feels like a lot of times in the film, but we know she's really just jumping high and whipping around with a lasso. And I'm not mad at that. It is what it is. But I do definitely have to say that the way that they handled Steppenwolf, man, like the Amazonians, with the exception of Wonder Woman, they wasn't ready because he came out there stiff arming horses like it wasn't nothing. And I feel like his power in this film was proportionate to his character. In the different matchups, he gave trouble to the people who he would give trouble to. They didn't make him too powerful, but you could tell the difference with him being able to hold off the Justice League and how that all changed when Superman came back. Which is another thing. I am glad that in this film that Superman really got his shine. Like when he first came to life by the broken monument and everybody had to fight against him, I really liked that he was given this moment to show everybody what he's capable of. And I didn't like that during Batman v Superman that he didn't get that opportunity. Like in my opinion, that film was more Batman and Wonder Woman's film. More so Batman. But here the tables turn, especially when the Flash attacked him, because Barry's used to nobody being able to keep up with him. And even though the Flash is faster than Superman hands down, it was nice to finally see Superman use his speed in the DCEU, which before this film was few and far between. But I feel like that was handled very well, and with Barry Allen being fairly new to being the Flash, and it already being announced that Flashpoint is a film we'll see in the future, like excited is not even the word for how I feel about seeing him interact with the Reverse Flash, and how terrified Barry will be when he encounters him. And I'm not gonna lie, I want to see the Button storyline, I want to see Doomsday Clock, I want Nightmare Batman, everything. And what I love about it the most is that Warner Bros. And DC, they have the rights to all these characters, and there's no restriction to who they can and can't use in it, and what storylines they can and can't do. But what I really like is that in this film, they established a great relationship between him and Bruce Wayne. So when we see Flashpoint, and hopefully when we see the Button, and I really hope we see the Button, come on, like Zack Snyder did Watchmen, come on. But no, I do like that mentorship is present, because it's going to be important later on in those future storylines. And speaking of future storylines, Green Lantern. We didn't get him in this film. We were probably supposed to get a teaser at some point in time. And some people say they think it was that scene with Jeremy Irons that got deleted. Personally, I think that was Superman in that scene who stopped by the Batcave before he went to help everybody else at the end. But I like that the film at least established that we have Green Lantern in this universe. We have Shazam. Like we knew already, but I feel like it's good to mention those things early because later on when they show up, if it just pops up out the blue, it's going to feel kind of forced and rushed into the movie. And with everybody on the team who it was already just assembling, I'm glad they didn't try to rush too many more characters on the roster in this one, because it would have got crowded real quick with Green Lantern and Martian Manhunter and everybody else just coming in at one time. But I do have one question. You can either hit me in the comments or let me know on Twitter. Well, who was it? Who was that Lantern in the beginning? Was it Salak? Was it Alan Gur? I don't know. One of you guys let me know down in the comments and I'll be ever so grateful. But yeah, I really like how they handled Aquaman. Jason Momoa was perfect, he totally killed it. And this really showed me something that I'm not gonna lie, I was concerned about for a little bit, and that was the chemistry between the different characters. Because in my opinion, that's most important. That can make or break a franchise. And the part where he admitted he had some attraction to Wonder Woman, that's kind of a nod to Flashpoint, we know. But it was also great seeing him getting in Batman's face and telling him, hey, you're just a regular dude. And not just that, but when he's talking to him and they're just walking down the street, he's like, you're Batman. Like in front of people, and I just thought it was hilarious. But the pace of the film was great. They didn't try to rush everybody together too quick, and it wasn't like everybody was just ready to team up. But instead, all the characters had their motivations. I just feel like that was handled well. Particularly with Aquaman and Cyborg, because the two of them really didn't want to be part of the team anyway. And like I was saying earlier, as far as being true to the character, I like with Cyborg that they stayed true to his initial reaction to his father saving his life. Because in the comics, he was real emotional. For good reason, and even though we didn't see that scene exactly, I'm glad that they didn't brush over it and it took him time to come around and finally join the team. Amy Adams, who I originally wasn't crazy about when she first took on the role of Lois, but I will say that I liked her the most in this film. Especially in her conversation with Martha Kent. It was heartfelt, it was funny, it did a lot for her character for me. But for whatever reason, I do gotta say I liked her more in this film. So now, last but not least, I want to talk a little bit about the post-credits, which there were two of. The first one with Flash and Superman getting ready to race. And although it doesn't serve much purpose towards the future of the DCEU, it was nice to see that nod to the comics. And even though there's been earlier issues where they came out as a tie at the finish line, I think it's safe to say that we all know who the true winner would be. But that was really it for the first post-credit scene. The second one was the real kicker, because that's when we see the bald-headed Lex. He's broken out of jail. And I'm not gonna lie, like right here, if they would have just switched him out with Michael Rosenbaum and like not even said nothing, just had him in there and just kept it moving from there on, you would have got no complaints from me. But also we finally see Joe Manganiello as Deathstroke. He meets Lex on the yacht, they're having this meeting together, and they're talking about putting a team together. More specifically, I want to say Lex said something like making a league of their own. And the possibilities for different directions that can go in are countless. But with all the characters that they could bring together, I would much rather see in the next Justice League, Darkseid, Lobo, Anti-Monitor, Mongol, and perhaps way later on Barbatos. But as far as characters like Black Manta or perhaps Clayface even, who I low-key really want to see in the film, but I feel like those characters would serve better in one of the individual films. But yeah, those are my thoughts, guys. So if you watch this all the way through, it's likely that you've seen the film already as well. And let me know your thoughts down below, like what you thought about the film, good or bad, and would you go out and see it again? I'm real curious to know. But that'll do it for this one. I've been doing DC like all week. We will be jumping back to some more Marvel next week, finishing up Fear Itself. But I was real amped about Justice League, so I had to get it all out. And if you feel the same and you want to talk more DC, I got links up for other videos. Smash that like button if you enjoyed this video. Subscribe if you're new here, and we'll do it again next time. Alright, later.